Yeah. So today I'm going to go over some advice from Proverbs. All right. And I'm going to start at Proverbs chapter 5. Verse 20. My son, keep thy father's commandment, and forsake not the law of thy mother. Bind them continually upon thine heart, and tie them about thy neck. When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou awakest, it shall talk with thee. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is the light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman, lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Can a man take fire in his bosom, and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals, and his feet not be burned? So he that goeth into his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her, shall not be innocent. Men do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man. Therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. All right. Hang on one second. I'm going to read Proverbs chapter 5 too, actually. All right. My son, attend unto my wisdom, and bow thine ear to my understanding, that thou mayest regard discretion, and that thy lips may keep knowledge. For the lips of a strange woman drop as a honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil, but her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, Her steps take hold on hell, lest thou shouldest ponder the path of life. Her ways are movable, that thou canst not know them. Hear me now, therefore, O ye children, and depart not from the words of my mouth. Remove thy way far from her, and come not nigh the door of her house, lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Lest strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of a stranger. And thou mourn at the last, when thy flesh and thy body are consumed, and say, How have I hated instruction, and my heart despised reproof, and have not obeyed the voice of my teachers, nor inclined mine ear to them that instructed me. I was almost in all evil in the midst of the congregation and assembly. Drink waters out of thine own cistern, and running waters out of thine own well. Let thy fountains be dispersed abroad, and rivers of waters in the streets. Let them be only thine own, and not strangers with thee. Let thy fountains be blessed, and rejoice with the wife of thy youth. Let her be as a loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love. And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a stranger? For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he pondereth all his goings. His own iniquities shall take the wicked himself, and he shall be holden with the cords of his sins. He shall die without instruction, and in the greatness of his folly he shall go astray. All right. In Proverbs, there are many texts. There's actually another text, okay? Because it's got here in Proverbs 7. Okay, so they got in Proverbs 5 two parts about adultery that breaks down into higher elements, which I will talk about in a second. And maybe I'll hit on the last part later. I guess I'll read it now. Proverbs 7 is, My son, keep thy words and lay up my commandments with thee. Keep my commandments and live, and my law as the apple of thine eye. Bind them upon thy fingers, write them upon the table of thine heart. Say unto wisdom, Thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. For at the window of my house I looked through my casement, and behold, among the simple ones I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding, passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And behold, there met him a woman with the attire of a harlot and a subtle heart. She is loud and stubborn, her feet abide not in her house. Now is she without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day have I paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee, diligently to seek thy face, and I have found thee. I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry and carved works and fine linen of Egypt. I have perfumed my beds with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Come, let us take our fill of love until the morning. Let us solace ourselves with loves. For the good man is not at home, he is gone on a long journey. He hath taken a bag of money with him, and will come home at the day appointed. With her much fair speech she caused him to yield, with the flattering of her lips she forced him. He goeth after her straightway, as an ox goeth to the slaughter, or as a fool to the correction of the stocks. Till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. Hearken unto me now therefore, O ye children, and attend to the words of my mouth. Let not thine heart decline to her ways. Go not astray in her paths, for she hath cast down many wounded. Yea, many strong men have been slain by her. Her house is the way to hell, going down to the chambers of death. All right. So this right here, you guys, is like there's 2 chapters on like this adultery. The main reason I'm hitting this up, I'm gonna keep it 100 from personal stance of where I come from. And like back when I lived in Cali, you know, I met this young lady, and I out of respect, you know what I'm saying, I say no names, but I guarantee you, she was trying to bring me to my death, right? And what it was is, I guess apparently she was married, but she had been separated for quite some time with her husband, like years, right? And I was in college, so I thought that was normal. Like, I really didn't get into like I wasn't, you know, I went to church on Sunday when I was like lived at home, but I didn't really know this part of like scripture. So I didn't think nothing of it. I was like, well, if they're not really dealing with each other, if they're separated, then it's cool. Like, I guess, like, yeah, like, so I went out with her. So basically, concerning the Bible, that's still considered adultery, right? Like, I wasn't supposed to cross that line, and I did, man. And you know what? The relationship was pretty much great, probably because her roots were rooted somewhere else altogether. You know what I'm saying? And never ran into her husband. Never seen him at all. She had a daughter that was really cool, but I mean, for the main part, like, it wasn't like he wasn't coming over on the weekends. It wasn't anything like that. You know, she would visit me from time to time when I was in college. Like, on the weekends, she would drop down, say what's up or whatever, and she really didn't deal with anybody. Her only other connect was like a plug. Mysteriously, I already assumed like it was what it was. I was in college, right? So I knew what time that was. You know what I'm saying? If I'm gone 5 days, if I'm not really connecting 5 days out of the week. So it was what it was, right? And at the end of the day, man, like, that whole thing, for some reason, the spirit kept on prodding me. I kept on bringing up, like, yeah, but like, you know what I'm saying? Your last name, like, I can't really jive with that. Like, you are still technically married. This thing was on my mind and pressing me. And so it wasn't until after we broke up that she had got all the paperwork and whatever happens with divorce or whatever, she got that taken care of. But like for 4 years, you guys, for like 4 hours a day, she would just fucking destroy me on the phone. Okay? She would destroy me. And shit happened. I feel bad about it. You know what I'm saying? Got wild for the night one time, and you know what I'm saying? Something was on the way. Okay? That was my bad. I was exceedingly intoxicated that night. Right? I'm not gonna front. It was, you know what I'm saying? It was my fault. Now, I'm not calling her an adulterer or anything like that. I'm just saying that's what the situation was. We wasn't thinking like that. Right? It was just like, she was like, I'm single at the time, I'm single. But the Bible says a reproach will come upon you if you're crossing that line. And what happened with my life? Yo, after that, it spun out of control. It spun completely out of control. Okay? Now, I don't know if these things are connected to that, but I teleported at one point in my life. It wasn't too pleasant. Okay? It wasn't too pleasant. Weird, very weird things happened. She turned exceedingly evil. After we broke up, I was like, my gosh. And I felt so horrible because what had happened. I just said, you know what? I know she had to go through some rough things. So I let her chew me out for 4 hours a day for a very long time, like 6 months. And I was just like, okay. So by the time everybody started pressing and accusing me, all these rumors went out that weren't true and came back to me, and everybody was mad at me. I was like very seasoned, like a tree, like the fibers of a tree, that when people beat against the cedars of of like my ego or whatever, I'm just like, okay. And you know, like that's what it was from. But that point in my life, it had completely destroyed me. And what happened was I had dropped out so bad because, I mean, an abortion was in the mix. I didn't think it was going to hurt me. I was like, well, I don't have a job right now. I just moved, don't have a job. I didn't think it was gonna hurt me as bad as it did. It fucking destroyed me, dude. It did. The abortion thing, it destroyed. Something spiritual happened. It totally destroyed the living hell out of me. All right. And my approach to it was like, well, I'm completely supportive. It's your body. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll figure something out. That's where I was at. Of course, the rumors that I was getting tiered completely different. And it even went further beyond that. But I'm not going to get into that because what's done is done. And, maybe this way in grace she could protect her head. You know what I'm saying? But the fact of the matter is, as long as people know the truth, I speak the truth, even at my own expense. I really do. In regards to me, you have to be careful with these situations. And a reproof came upon my life, and I paid dearly. My life has not been right since that relationship. That was back in 2009. Nothing but paranormal events. All right. Paranormal. All right. Paranormal things. Today, my headlight went out. It's one thing after the other. My headlight went out. I was already rolling with one headlight in my hoopty, right? Trunk don't even close. Someone rear-ended me. I'm just like, screw it. Keep going. Right? Now the headlight goes out. And I put a new one in the other side that went out. A new head bulb. It didn't work. And then today, when the other one went out, I put a headlight bulb in there. And guess what? Just replace the bulb. It doesn't work. It still doesn't work with the new bulb in there. Right? So, I literally just cannot seem to win on any given level. She put tons of bad juju on me, man. Let me tell you something. It happened. And I'm thinking to myself, this is fine as long as you did the same thing to your husband that you were separated with. Or maybe that's why he ran and got the fuck out of Dodge. I need to do more research. But I was like a young gopher at the time. I did not think. So these are wise instructions, because a woman who runs in a certain type of way, which isn't directly garnered to this, I'm just giving you some personal insight on how I completely took an M16 and destroyed my own life. All right, by making a careless mistake, by not knowing enough, by dating the wrong person. You got to be really careful. Okay, we got social media and everything out like this. These kids got to be careful. Not everybody's playing the same game that you're playing. Like I said, a lot of you guys, man, a lot of these women nowadays, you'll know where they came from, man. They might not be looking at you the same way. It might be, you know what I'm saying? It might be something different. They call the shit a power exchange. They had a club in North California called Power Exchange. All right? Not going to get too deep into it, right? You do the twist, and then there's some type of power exchange. What is that? What type of power exchange? And a lot of dudes, if you're wild and crazy like I was back then, it's like, ooh, go ahead, take my power. Go ahead, take some. Right? I got this shit under control. Hold my beer. My life is destroyed. Right? Don't get involved in any of those shenanigans. I will say that. And I will say, in the world of pleasure, there is much less satisfaction to be had. And dimensionally, through all those soul ties, your world, your life as you experience it, it'll start getting ripped apart just for no reason. You won't be able to connect it to exactly what just happened, right? You won't be able to connect it to a specific incident, but it'll just completely keep falling apart, right? Then keep in mind, if someone's not of common mind, a lot of women are into the crafts because, quite frankly, they have to protect themselves, I guess, against men. There are so many abuse cases. Women get abused a lot. They really did. I did not learn that until I did security at a shelter. But here's the thing. They get abused, and then that chick would run right back to that dude that abused them. And it made me start to think, not that I'm going to validate the abuse that happened to these ladies. One chick was hung over a bridge, right? She ran back to the guy, right? And it had me start to think, now what the hell did this girl do to get hung over a bridge? I'm just keeping it 1,000, because you got to get the whole, you got to put the whole puzzle together. I digress. There's it's not really HIPAA, but I can't get into like details at all about certain things. I signed an agreement when I did security at this place, but it was crazy. All these girls, they would come in, look like they had been in an MMA fight. They would run right back to that dude, right back to him. And I'm thinking, what's the deal? What does it take to get a girlfriend out here? Do I need to pick up boxing lessons? What's going on? That's what it was like. Something else is going on. I'm too square to know about it, right? So this is talking about the adulterous woman, the types of interest of these children. Remember what I was telling you about the daughters of men. These daughters of men, they're not exactly the same as like there's sons of God and then there's daughters of men. Yeah, they got it going on, man. They're pretty. They said the same thing happened in Genesis, right? They'll get you. They got it going on that much. They do. But the thing is, it's like they have different agendas. They're more intelligent than they put on, right? Their ways are kind of unknowable. This is what it's talking about in terms of the scripture here, in terms of adultery. And it gets into a meta stance as well in terms of understanding between wisdom and knowledge and what type of knowledge that is, which is the high aperture of understanding the verse and context here in terms of how God wants you to understand it, because you have to understand things from a spiritual way, and then it'll trickle down into all the understandings that you need to see in order to decode or decipher the matrix of life. All right, so I'm going to get back to that in a second. I'm going to, I guess, start out with, the poem for tonight. And I don't know. I read the verse, it's almost like they call it automatic writing, which I guess they use it sometimes in witchcraft. I seen it on an anime called Hunter x Hunter, where a girl, her Nen ability, Nen is like their superpower or whatever, was automatic writing. And the thing is I don't really do witchcraft or anything like that, but the Spirit will put on my heart, the words will just fall out. I don't even know what I'm writing. Right now I have on the board, I read it 2 times. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means until I speak to you right here on the on the recorder thing, right? The Spirit, the Holy Spirit, He has to bring it to me. All right, it's beyond my capacity. I wait on the Lord. I wait on the Holy Spirit to explain things to me, because my knowledge is imperfect. I don't want to use my knowledge. All right, I don't want to use that. I'm going to make a mistake. Made too many of them. My thinking, I don't think so good. I really don't. I'd rather have the Holy Spirit think for me. That's how it works. Other circles and secret circles, they have their way about going things, and they utilize spirits. I just use the spirit that I was allowed to have out of the scriptures, out of how I follow life, right? So, anyhow, this poem here goes like this. Her bosom is like winter, her crown of Medusa, her words like sharp fangs dance around the serenade of her lipstick. Slight smear on her cheek, the crackle of the light flashes at dusk to reflect the humid Victorian wallpaper, 2 crumpled bills that read, "In God We Trust." The cephalopod of the outer darkness, the John, the trick, the syndicate, the mystery of the night that went, fleeting like 2 sheets in the wind. Seldom seen, her fingerprints obscured her perfume with patchouli ambiance, the gloom of wages of another lonely soul. To this day, no one has ever seen her since, the candle dimmed over cold case evidence. That is the poem for tonight in regards to the adulterous woman. And the first line is her bosom is like winter, okay? And her bosom is like winter, and a lot of times desire is like fire that is in the heart. We kind of talked about the fire that is unquenched, right? And That comes out of your bosom, the wine of my bosom, the knowledge, the wisdom, my understanding that I share with you here and now, right? In this opinionated world, yet and still, that I share with you because I care, right? This is a desire of mine. It's a fire placed on my heart from the Holy Spirit. Yet her bosom is like winter, right? She's easy like Sunday morning when she speaks to you. That means something happened Saturday night, niggas. Wake the fuck up. Sorry for cussing. Saturday night, it went down, right? You were 2 sheets in the wind. You were kind of, you know what I'm saying? Had something on your mind. Had a couple drinks. You know what I'm saying? The weight of life was on you. It was kind of heavy. A lot of pressure, right? And yet her bosom is like winter. A lot of times when these women are forced to work in certain jobs, and sometimes it's not by force, a lot of times it causes them to disassociate. So either way, her bosom is like winter. She is not merely as turned on as that, or as in such a psychological switch. No different than a robot. The activation is money, no different than an arcade. You put a quarter in, you get to play for a while. You know what it is. Her bosom is like winter. What you really want is affection, but you can't find it. Sex is easier to exhibit. Humans in a museum. DARPA is building us robots. This profession will probably be winding, but then again, look at the movie Blade Runner. Sex dolls were the first robots that came out. Maybe not. So, her bosom is like winter. Her heart is not turned towards you. The desire is not the same. It's a machination as flipping a switch, a clock that counts time. She's waiting in your strength to tell you to get the fuck out and take your coat with you. Her bosom is like winter. Think of that Disney show, Disney Princesses, and we have Elsa. Niggas go in there one way, then come out frozen like Sub-Zero. You know what I'm saying? This world is cold, and she knows it's a cold world better than the John or the Trick that she has to spend time with. She has to manipulate or create an ambiance in which a warmth can be had, when really it's just cutthroat and cold business. No different than drug dealers on different street corners. In some ways, if you follow the money trail up, it can get quite corporate, but we won't speak about that. That could get too deep for today. I kind of got a lot to go over. Her crown of Medusa, her words like sharp fangs dance around the serenade of her lipstick. Her crown of Medusa. We know Jesus Christ had a crown of thorns, and the thorns were like the thoughts protruding into the minds of man's head, his psychology, the down-laden troubles that individuals have during life is pressing them and stressing them and putting them under pressure. So they fitted Christ, the King of the Jews, with a crown of thorns, and he sported it like a halo. But her crown is of Medusa, her crown of Medusa. The snakes. Women, a lot of times when their temperature starts to boil, they start dangling, start playing with their hair, don't they? You'll sabotage, like, you talking too much. You talk, all right, I'm gonna shut up, all right? They start toiling their hair, and it's kind of hypnotic. The hands and the hair can get kind of hypnotic. You see, this is a different type of church because I come from the hip, right? Some of y'all will use this knowledge for understanding. Some of y'all will take it intricately, and I tell you, you will say when you're finished, that dude was right. I wish I didn't do that. I don't tell you that to you to endanger yourself. I'm just telling you life is a road with lots of signs. She starts to play with her hair. What do they do? That curly, they dangle that front row of hair or whatever. Right? Her crown of Medusa. And what would happen with Medusa? She was so cold. She was so beautiful. People would look at her and that dudes would turn into stone. What happens when you see a pretty girl? Come on, you guys. You freeze, don't you? You freeze. Police still haven't got it down, have they? They haven't. They just need to put a cute girl on the squad. That's it. When you see her, you freeze. Sometimes you don't even have to see them. Right? They walk behind you, just like when in those vampire movies, you know, when that vampire shoot by you and you just feel that brisk or that breeze and you smell that perfume and then something activates in you. You're like, wait a minute. Wait a minute. What's going on? You freeze. Something, all your thoughts somehow, it's like some type of, I don't know, witchcraft or something. All your thoughts freeze, right? Everybody got a plan till they get hit. I think Mike Tyson said that. You just got hit in the nose, right? Your sinus ducts, everything. You don't know what the hell is going on. All your senses, you done fell into the Bermuda Triangle in 1 second. You knew exactly what you were talking about. You knew exactly what direction you was going, and then something hit you. That's that venom. Let the venom hit him. Her crown of Medusa. Her hair. She tosses it over her shoulder and does all kind of crazy stuff with it. Sometimes she don't know what she's doing, but I tell you, the seasoned ones, they know exactly what they're doing, right? Her crown of Medusa, right? I hope one of these ladies don't strangle me one day, just walking down the street. I'm really not hating on anybody. I'm just giving good warning, okay? Her crown of Medusa, her words like sharp fangs dance around the serenade of her lipstick. The serenade of her lipstick. First of all, that lipstick is hypnotizing. Now, red lipstick used to be the stuff back in the day. But something with that black lipstick, I don't know what it does. It sends a twinge up my spine. It causes one to freeze a little. But whatever it is, that lipstick, right? It's a color that attracts sight. And in fact, one of the angels, I think it was Azazel, the war one. He was good with the knives. He was the war angel that is under the Great Pyramid. The same one on the back of the American dollar. Yeah. He also taught women beautification techniques and makeup. Think about that. So lipstick, how they would crush berries and make ointments, and then they would put it on their lips and what have you. Right? This shit is more dangerous than you think. This is what you call subtlety. You get into an altercation, you may choose an arrow or a sword. Her ways would be a little bit different. It would be a little bit smoother. And yet she is not using it innocently. It's used as a tactician. She got a psychology. She knows your psychology. She knows what it does. She knows how it works. Right? These red pill guys are like, yeah, come on, man. You got to hear the whole thing. You got to listen to the sound stuff. Right? She knows what she's doing. Okay? Her words, like sharp fangs, dance around the serenade of her lipstick. Meaning, her words are so smooth and so slick that by the time the coldest player in the game, a lot of these pimps in these highlighter suits, by the time you step to this woman, and all of these pimps won't say it, but all of them know. Well, I call her Rosemary. Rosemary is the old school 70s name. Where it was that one that you just could not get. You could not get a Rosemary for some reason. Now, some of them will front said they had a Rosemary, and the one who did, watch him run and go to his picture style. I got pictures, I got proof, right? Rosemary was that cold one that nobody could get, and no matter what you said to her, that crown of Medusa and that lipstick, all right? and her words sharp like fangs. She seduces you like a vampire. She done heard every line in the world. She knows your psychology. That's why you needed game in the first place. She done played them all and won. The minute you've spoken, you have lost. And you don't know which direction you walk, and the casket is underneath her bed, and that's where you will dance to. Her words are like sharp fangs. They're seducing. Right? They're seducing. It's like a ballroom dance around any type of thing that you say. She can get around it. She has a finesse. She can finesse you out your pocket. She can finesse you out of anything. I haven't seen the movie, but I want to see it. It's with Will Smith, and it got Margot Robbie in it. Margot Robbie could get 5 seconds, right? You throw your car keys. You won't even think about it. What happened to my damn car keys, right? Margot's running down the street. I got a car, right? It can happen. Now, I'm not saying that she's this woman, but I'm just saying that a lot of times, right, there are a lot of women that are savvy, and the minute you step there, you are far out of your element. You are far out of your element. This is what I'm talking about, and that's when you come into profession or trade, because when you add money into this psychology, into this game, this isn't about what you want. What you want is highly fucking annoying. In fact, I think you throw money into the picture, and the money is about food, bills, real shit, right? When you tie those two things together, it's a switch that she turns on, right? And absolutely, as she turns it on, the switch to her heart, her psychology, turns off. Her bosom like winter. Her heart, it turns off. She don't want to get the two mixed up. She don't want to mix up the business part with the real part. I can't get mad at that. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. It's a jacked up situation for them also. All right? I'm not advocating for anything. And really, I know that young ladies will get mad. But at the same time, there are also those in this profession that are exceedingly professional and exceedingly old and has been around for an exceedingly long time. Some of you guys may understand what I'm talking about, but let's just say for the sake of Christianity, there are spirits that have been around that'll take you, break you down and take you apart like a dishwasher. All right? They know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly how to go about it. And women who use those incense and what have you, they know how to utilize those spirits. You on a different channel. You literally on that 0 channel. And once you get on that 0 channel, things get kind of mystical. Right? I'll get into that a little bit further. But some of y'all may have followed me this far. Her bosom is like winter, her crown of Medusa. Her words like sharp fangs dance around the serenade of her lipstick. Slight smear on her cheek. Okay? The slight smear on her cheek, it's like a teardrop that has fell, not from the psychology of sorrow or crime, but almost in a sense of shock, as in switching straight past that modality. You ever seen a teardrop pop out of somebody's eye? It didn't roll down the side of the cheek. It pops out. They gotta skip that entire motion. That's what the switch is for. No, they don't want to smell your breath. They don't want to feel your hairy chest right next to them. They don't. Lord knows what their childhood is like. Some of us, we can't detect it. We just got a crown full of thorns. You see, everyone's in a situation. Okay? Slight smear on her cheek. That's that teardrop, that switch, that psychological switch. And while you're in one mode as a pheasant going down, they done snapped into shark mode. It's business. And their resolve is much more savage than you would think. much more savage than combat. Their lipstick and their game, straight from something very antiquated, straight from a fallen angel Azazel on the back of a pyramid that you reside in the country as a citizen. You might not know where you're at because you turned into stone. So, the crackle of the light flashes at dusk to reflect of the humid Victorian wallpaper. Now, what am I talking about? Something happened during the duration of the night between this man and this woman that it was just a random occasion. It wasn't really that deep. Business as usual. Like I said, not all of them are looking at you the same way. You don't know where that girl came from. You done lived in your city all your life and you've never seen her. She was just passing through town as she always passes. Many of us have seen them vampire movies. I'm not saying it's really real, and I ain't saying it's fake. I'm just saying that there are some spirits that are really old. The crackle of the light that flashes at dusk is like that old school camera, like back in the the 20s or 30s, and you hear that bulb crackle, right? Dusk. Just, you know what I'm saying? Just as it's starting that purple haze, just at morning time, right? The crackle of the light flashes at dusk to reflect of the humid Victorian wallpaper. Why is the Victorian wallpaper humid? It's that perspiration. Animals before a storm, the sweat coming out of the pores. No matter the occasion, they kind of blend together. Whether in the season or the summon of anxiety, when circumstances and situations change. She's not from around that town. She might not even be from this planet. We don't really know. You never seen her before. Although every other face looks somewhat familiar, she had a different swagger you never came across. So, that is the crackle of light that flashes at dusk to reflect of the human Victorian wallpaper. 2 crumpled bills that read, "In God We Trust." In God we trust. The Holy Spirit wasn't there. You wasn't moving in the Holy Spirit that day. But you had a crown of thorns. You didn't check in with God that day. The street lights were on. You didn't check home that day. You were feeling a certain type of way. The internet just couldn't do it that day. You had a little paper in your pocket. 2 crumpled bills that read, "In God We Trust." Isn't that interesting? Did we trust in God that night if this was a video game? Hypothetically speaking, in the Matrix. No, that day, maybe we did, but he wasn't in the he wasn't in the forefront of our thoughts. We seen a lot of red flags, but we didn't notice the signs. And even in her profession, all right, that slight smear on her cheek, that something wasn't right, we didn't notice it because our psychology turned into stone. There was a bit of sorrow with this one, right? The winter in her bosom, though I said it could fit principally with anyone, this one is slightly different. It was kind of different. You haven't seen her around before. Law of attraction. You were feeling a certain type of way and kind of down. Somehow in that dread, the dread of the Countess and the dread of the man, they met at the corner. Most people use their card to purchase things. Some people still use cash. I ain't mad at that. 2 crumpled bills that read, "In God We Trust." It says a lot considering that pyramid on the back. calculation of calculating in the antiquated situation of where makeup came from, where it evolved from. Fallen angel named Azazel. He was the one that was best at warfare. Beautification was also in his things that he taught. It's in the book of Enoch. Look it up. This shit is crazy. All right. So, the cephalopod of the outer darkness. Now we know what a cephalopod is, like an octopus. And an octopus is of the most intelligent species in the sea. I'm not going to get deep into this. Scientific studies show that certain individuals are more intellectual. Sometimes after certain situations, people carry around little dogs and take them everywhere. Even in their purses, they get kind of stuck up. I ain't going to talk about it. The cephalopod of the outer darkness, we're talking about regions and realms, and sometimes in other places, in other spaces even, we can even say. The cephalopod of the outer darkness. The barren womb also. Water goes in, but no activity. We won't talk about that. I won't go there today. But for those of you who can connect it, it is what it is. I say what I say. The John, the trick, the syndicate. The John and the trick are synonymous. But tricks are for kids, but not always. And the syndicate syndicates and organizes certain situations. Why do I bring this up? Sometimes they're not involved with any of them, but they're in your area. Be careful of your thoughts and what you think in your privacy. I'm dead serious. You could have a woman's name on your mind and all of a sudden it'll manifest. That law of attraction is more dangerous than you think. Not to say with the brain initiative and neural mapping, all the advancements in technology that our government has, I won't talk about subtle things like where it came from. Technological booms in our society. I'm just a peon that they call schizophrenic or crazy, but be careful with that term. You may as well call me smart, because calling me crazy, I'll accept it. Now I can say anything I want. Let me tie your shoelaces for you. So, the John, the trick, the syndicate, she might not be connected. She might not be connected. I'm spitting game and people are worried and on the edge of their seats in one way when really they're not hearing what I have to say. It could be your daughters or your sons going out one night. Certain things on their mind that they can't talk about. They may come across this podcast of things you can't never say. And I say it for you, though you can't say it because I care. That ain't the label of an iPhone. It has nothing to do with narcissism. I ain't hiding my face. I just don't want to get on. I want people to get the message. The John, the trick, the syndicate, the mystery of the night that went, fleeting like two sheets in the wind. The mystery of the night that went. Monday to Friday, it's like a blur sometimes. Getting from Monday to Friday. Now there's many different jobs in this world, but let me tell you something about the job of like police officers and detectives. Alright? Can you imagine a detective? This is a job specifically where you definitely know Monday, and you definitely know Tuesday, and you definitely know Wednesday. And each night, it's more and more shit. You got about 48 hours. You got to address everyone, even the parents, those awkward conversations, and figure out some type of stuff. And it's just like all types of things go down, and nobody wants to get caught. interrogations. Your day is like a jigsaw puzzle. You don't know how you got through it, but they're carrying these details, these nightmares from one day to the next day. I mean, it's freaking crazy. My week, I could wake up on Monday and before you know it, it's Thursday. And I'm like, holy cow, Thursday is here. Don't work that way for detectives. Don't work that way. It's a nightmare. Can you imagine? Now, let me show you a real nightmare. If you're a detective and you lose your marbles and all you have is a head full of nightmares, that has got to be one of the scariest things that could ever happen to somebody. It does. If you're a detective, you cannot lose that thing. If you lose that thing, that's all you have is those memories, the most horrific events and snapshots, a black and white photo album or yearbook of several different lives. The most pivotal point, the point where the car crashes into a brick wall. At that point. And that's all you have is a barrage of those. What the hell? But this is the connotation of the mystery of the night that went. Because for any John or Trick, Monday to Friday is just like whatever. I put in 8 hours here. I put in 12 hours here. Some of you guys be working crazy hours, 14, all kinds of crazy stuff. Hey, man, it passes by. Time passes kind of weird, okay? The mystery of the night that went. And time flies when you're having fun. And the Bible talks about two main mysteries, the mystery of faith and the mystery of iniquity. And the mystery of iniquity is that fast life. Shit happens and then it happens so quick, it's a mystery. People could be sitting there looking dead at the entire event, go into shock and not realize it, and give the most ridiculous summary of what they believe happened, and they didn't see what they were looking dead at. The mind is the craziest labyrinth. It really is. Okay? So, the mystery of the night that went, fleeting, okay? Like I've said, fleeting through the week, like two sheets in the wind. Like I said, on that night, when you have a crown full of thorns, two sheets in the wind, sometimes you just gotta get ripped. You gotta reset the computer. You don't know exactly how to turn it off. You got too many gears in rotation. All right? You hit that bottle or something. And I'm not advocating for drinking, you guys. I'm not doing that. I got a DUI. In fact, I got 2 of them. All right? I stay at home. If I'm going to drink, I stay at home. But I'm just saying, I understand. Life is stressful. It happens. Right? You got to slow the gears down. You don't know exactly how to do it. You got anxiety. You know, your blood pressure is all jacked up. You know what I'm saying? Seems like at that point in life, everybody wants something from you. Everything's falling apart. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. It's like two sheets in the wind. That night that he comes across that law of attraction, the things on his mind. He's not thinking in a stable way. Right? And I'll get into why I'm talking about the two sheets in the wind thing. Right? Because you're not always at your best. Life is not, of all things, life is a fight to get things balanced. Most cases, nothing is ever balanced. It is totally chaotic and crazy the entire time. You're doing your best to stabilize. Everybody's at the circus. We can't make fun of circus people now, right? We're all at Cirque du Soleil, right? We have to balance plates and all that stuff on our head. And we go to the zoo and we see the animals and we take photographs, right? Some of these fathers, man, some of these mothers, they got like 70,000 responsibilities. You have no idea, right? Then what are people going to point out what's wrong with you? Oh my gosh, I hope everything's okay with her. She's got bags under the eyes. She's like, oh my God, I gotta get that new foundation. I gotta get that fucking skin cream or some shit like that. I'm starting to slip. There's so many things on people's mind that they gotta take care of, right? It's the truth. It's the truth. Sometimes you gotta let things go. If you let things go, people gonna talk bad about you. Me, I got duct tape on my car. People talk bad about me. That's okay. I can't carry that many things, right? I can't. You know what I mean? So it's a trade-off. I'll deal with the weird looks. Sometimes I go places in pajamas. You know, you might get a little snicker or something like that, or crack up a little bit, and I'm glad I made your day. But you gotta you gotta be able to put up with it a lot, because society is like that, right? So anyhow, the mystery of the night that went, fleeting like two sheets in the wind. Seldom seen her fingerprints, meaning she hasn't been around town. She's not in the logs at the police when they look up the computer. They do the computer thing and look up her fingerprints made from a wine glass, right? Obscured her perfume with patchouli ambiance. Patchouli is an incense, right? That's commonly used in certain situations, to obscure smells. And her perfume, right? It's in the air, like love is in the air, but then it's kind of not. It's just kind of patchouli. Hotel California type shit, right? Back rooms, Minecraft, figure it out. I'm just saying. I say that with love, man. Hey, life will beat you up, right? Life will beat you up sometime. Obscured her perfume with patchouli ambiance. The gloom of wages of another lonely soul. A lonely soul, okay? Working that endless loop from Monday to Sunday. Every week is exactly the same. You know that? You start work on Monday, and then a lot of people work Monday to Friday, but anyways, it's Monday to Sunday. And then what happens? You go to Monday again, and you have the same routine as you had the last week. We do this all year. We go grocery shopping on the same day, relatively around the same time. Why? Because that's when we can fit it in our schedule. And then we're no different than Pavlov's experiment than with the dogs when he rings the bell and they start salivating at the mouth. Right? Week after week, pretty soon you snap out of it, you lose your marbles, you're like, I gotta break the monotony. Right? That's why the porn industry is blowing up, let's be honest. People want to look around. I don't know what he's talking about. It's cool. I'll carry it. Right? I'll carry it. Right? Don't want to click on the same tabs all the time. You got to mix it up sometime. Right? Well, you can't be like a one-move boxer, right? I got a jab and a hook. I'm going to jab you, and then I'm going to throw a right hook. You're going to get worked every time. But that's what life does to us. So we go into this trance, right? We go into this trance. We have like the same routine every single day. Somehow, we consider ourselves to be different than dogs, but we don't get tired of it until all of a sudden we snap. It comes out of nowhere. We're like disassociated. Then something bad happens and breaks our reality, or we snap. We're like, I gotta break this fucking routine, right? You ain't talked to anyone in months. You haven't seen your friends since high school, right? You call them, they have that same mundane like fucking voiceover. They're like, hey, how's it going, friend? Oh yeah, is that happening to you? Oh yeah, I bought a lawnmower last weekend. It was great. That's what we become, right? That's what we become. So you have to break the monotony. So you have the gloom of wages. You start looking at them wages. I know I did. You guys, I'm not perfect. I started looking at them wages. I had to go somewhere one time. I was making like $14 an hour. I'm looking at the prices. I got a fucking headache. It's like $600, $700. I'm recounting the pesos on the table. You know when you count the same amount of money, like 8, 9, 10 times. The first couple times you get different numbers, so you gotta recount it like 30,000 times, right? You know what saved me? Being too broke. Honestly. I was too broke. I didn't have it like that. I was too broke, literally. The gloom of wages. I'm not judging anyone. The gloom of wages of another lonely soul, because you're just trying to make it check to check. You can't afford to have kids. If you're black, a lot of us, we have financial castration. That means you don't make enough money. You got to get into some entrepreneur. You got to do shit. You got to hustle. Dream work. What is it? What do people say? Teamwork make the dream work, right? But if you're not living in a communal environment, such as like the city, like me growing up, this is where the suburb thing hits real bad. You don't have that community thing, like at all. At all. You can go downtown, nobody will fuck with you. It's like, no, that nigga's the feds. I don't really know about that dude. He's cool, but he's the feds. He's got to be the feds. Right? And I understand because you got other shit going on. I got to respect that. You know what would save me also? Coming out of nowhere, I couldn't buy drugs. I couldn't buy it. Everybody thought I was the feds. No, he doesn't walk with any type of swagger. He's got a belt on. He pulls his pants up. They're looking at this thing. He's the feds. The guy's a square. Cornbread's the feds. I don't fuck with him. That's what they say. That's what they say in the street. And it's cool. They're real reluctant to fuck with me. And the ones, whoever did, if they ever did, I definitely got that look like, all right, you know, if I fucking anything come back on me for any reason, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna fucking get you, dog. There wasn't no word spoken. Black people, we just kind of read and understand. I'm like, yeah, I got it. We're good. We're good. I'm in there, dog. I'm in there. 1000%. It's crazy like that. It really is. But, and I'm not advocating for any young ones to take drugs, but that monotony will eventually hit you to where you gotta spaz out. You gotta go crazy. You gotta do something, right? You have to. So this is the truth of those things. The gloom of wages. You're gonna spend your strength, the money that you made at work, and you're gonna put it in a place where you don't typically put it. And that's gonna throw everything else out of balance for God knows how long, right? Especially if you're on the struggle meter, right? If you're on the struggle meter, that's gonna throw everything else off, right? So that's the gloom of wages of another lonely soul because you can't afford to have a girlfriend. You can't. You kicking it, eating porridge. It is what it is. All right. To this day, no one has ever seen her since. They never came across this lady again. She dropped into town for only a night. Right? It's like that movie Sin City. Right? Where the chick at the end runs into oh gosh, what's that guy's name, dude? He's a good actor. His name starts with an H, man. His name starts with an H. Sin City, the first one, at the very end. The lady's on the balcony. Josh Hartnett. She runs into Josh Hartnett, and he's just there, only for a time. An opportune occasion. Law of attraction. They just happened to meet. He had everything that she wanted in that moment. Huh? Some of these spirits is, oh, they got a job to do. Right? Your doomsday clock, you don't know when your time is up, right? God's got a calendar. He's like, oh yeah, it's right there. Okay, we'll allow it today. You don't know. You don't know what's going on, all right? To this day, no one has ever seen her since the candle dimmed over cold case evidence. Meaning, it ends up being a cold case. These guys got 48 hours. They could barely eat a sandwich because they're just stressed all the way up to their nostrils, right? I couldn't be a detective. I'd be stressed out in the first 4 hours. Here's my badge. Fuck. So, this is about that adulterous woman. This is more so about situational or circumstantial things. When you're not at your best, right? Sometimes life will beat the shit out of you. That's the point I'm making. When you're not at your best, and those other ideas, right, start to come into your mind, you start to find other ways to comfort. See, you read a magazine, it's gonna tell you, hey, drink some wine. It's very subtle, right? Have some wine, take a load off. Make yourself a pumpkin pie, right? Now, if you're on a struggle meter, you can't buy all them ingredients. You can't. You gotta get some water out the faucet, throw some sugar in there, and hope you got some lemon juice somewhere. I ain't lying, I do it myself. I ain't capping. It's like that. It really is. So, here's the thing, man. Like, the Bible, this is more for those type of things. And this is instruction for that type of time, that type of scenario. If you think of self-defense or whatever, sometimes you got to read scripture before you hit that wall, before you get to that point where you feel like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? What am I gonna do? You gotta load that into your subconscious, into your mind. You gotta load that into your arsenal before you run into that. Because after you run into that, those feelings are already up. You're not gonna be thinking, I'm gonna go home and read. I'm gonna go home and read. I'm gonna go home and read and meditate about my situation that I'm experiencing right now. Now, these are good tools that they taught us in like grade school or maybe kindergarten. Well, I need you to sit over there and think about what you did. And we do, but it's like after we did it and we're thinking, damn, next time I need to move to the other side so I don't get seen or caught, right? You're thinking in hindsight bias. You think about something else. You got to think preemptively on a lot of things, right? It's the same thing with the spiritual stuff, life circumstances and situations, as it is in martial arts or, police officers. They got to train beforehand. Everybody got trained beforehand. Self-defense, the whole nine. You got to cross-reference all that madness. Now, I'm going to come to Proverbs here. And this is, let's see. My son, keep father's commandment and forsake not the law of thy mother. All right, the father's commandment, he got 10 commandments. You can read them out of the scripture. Do not kill, do not steal, things of this nature, and do not commit adultery. All right, is mainly what he's pointing at here. Bind them continually upon thy heart and tie them about thy neck. When thou goest, it shall lead thee. When thou sleepest, it shall keep thee. And when thou awakest, it shall talk with thee. In other words, the ordinance of your thoughts orbiting your mind, the law that is given gives good direction in terms that you don't miss your step. That is no different than if you go to any martial arts dojo and those kids are training and they're doing that same punch like 50,000 times, right? That is what you're doing with these laws and commandments, as boring as they may seem, as you go about your day in regular routine, so that when you get weak, when your mind gets tired, you get weary, you get tired of the stuff. You done built a concrete wall where it's just like, no matter what happens, I'm not crossing this line, right? That's what that is. For the commandment is a lamp and the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life. In other words, these directions will create your way, right? As it refines itself, it is like a girdle so that you don't spill over your own self. In other words, you are able to have self-control by garnering up, or like a MMA fighter, when they wrap their hands and they fist, you know what I'm saying? It keeps everything taut and tight and together, right? This is the way, the way of life, so that you don't never miss your steps. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of her tongue, of a strange woman. The evil woman is basically the woman that's going to lure you into unhealthy thoughts and situations. In other words, remember I talked about the flower yesterday. Good understanding from your heart. It gets devoured by temptation. Temptation will cause you to move that line. You start to, it's a word that starts with a C. What do you call it? It's not considered. I cannot think of it. It's a word where both parties kind of agree. I can't think of it to save my life right now, right? When you start doing that with your own morals and your own principles, that's when that line is going to waver. And when that line wavers, it wavers with intention. You have an intention there to take a step outside of the bounds that you would typically step. Now you have a wider radius of things that you will do. Will it ever bind or grow back will be whether you make your decision or your mind to change that back will be very difficult, right? Like if I make up my mind, I say I'm not going to drink, like ever. I'm not going to drink ever again, right? And then all of a sudden I say, well, it's somebody's birthday party tonight. I'm going to go ahead and have at it, right? Just for tonight, it's someone's birthday, it's an occasion, but typically I won't do it. Now, once I step outside of there, what happens? How does life do you? All of a sudden you start getting invited to more and more birthday parties. Are you going to make the same allowance that you made for that? Is that going to change the way that you step? Are you going to start walking in your way spiritually more in a drunken step? Meaning every weekend now you're going to a party and it's just like, well, it's a circumstance of a situation. So as you do that, what happens? That's spiritual. So every weekend you're getting hammered. What happens during the middle of the week? Well, I'm having a stressful time. I'll just have a little bit. I'm not going to get too rowdy or anything like that. What happens? It's a little bit more acceptable or a little bit easier to access. You have some, right? The next thing you know, that spiritual thing, the more frequent that you drink, then it's going to trickle down to your physical steps. You're going to start walking around with a hangover over the time. You might have a woozy step more often. It done trickled down. The symptom has trickled down from something spiritual to something physical, right? It's the same thing with the internet. I gotta watch myself. You know what I'm saying? I gotta watch myself. Isolation is crazy, right? But if I feed my brain or images enter my heart too much of that which I shouldn't be dealing with, it's a clockwork orange, right? It's eventually gonna trickle it down, no matter how much pride I think I have to control it. That's literally what's going to happen. That's what I'm planting seeds spiritually for something to manifest that I don't really want to manifest. You know, I'm just trying to obscure or deal with the situation rather than deal with the situation in a more acceptable manner according to my discipline, right? What am I talking about? I'm talking about thoughts. For a lot of you guys, when you see that cute girl or whatever, when you're going about your way, one thing that I learned here in Missouri, one of the slangs you say, these young kids, they say, oh, that's a thought. And I was like, a thought? And he spelled it out, and it was that, except it was an O where the A was at, a thought. I said, gosh, damn, that's some crazy shit, right? Thoughts, meaning you're having thoughts. You seen this woman, and now all of a sudden, you're having thoughts about like, hey, man, wonder what she's doing this weekend. Right? Maybe I could take her to a movie, but it's not really in terms of really getting to know the lady, is it? Those are not where your thoughts are at. Your thoughts are like, yeah, we'll go see a movie, we'll eat some french fries, and then, whatever happens. Those are thoughts. You're already there in your mind, right? But that's not me getting preachy or judging anyone. It's just me saying that hypothetically, biologically, you have impulses. You have impulses, and the only way to fight against those impulses is to create a counterbalance in terms of garnering against those impulses or those feelings that drive you instinctually to do something, right? But those are called thoughts. Pretty ladies or whatever that dudes would come across, they know what I'm talking about. They call them thoughts. That's spiritual, that's intellectual. Maybe they cross something and they see something. Man, I tell you, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not trying to hate on anyone. Like I said, you'll see Daisy Dukes at Walmart sometimes, right? And trust me, when you see it, it's exactly what you don't want to see. But let me tell you something about when you get home and it gets dark outside and you hear that mouse clicking at night. You're like, wait a minute, that thought flashes by for no reason. It just cuts right by you. You think about it, you're like, wait a minute, man. I'm gonna take a detour, right? So it's just about strengthening your mind. So let me get back to what I was saying here. To keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of her tongue. Now, in high principle, the flattery of her tongue is that she has ulterior motives. Okay? The flattery of her tongue is the woman. When I'm talking about the woman, it's on two different natures. We're definitely talking about a physical woman in one aspect, but I'm trying to take you guys from the higher to the higher dynamic, and the higher dynamic is the woman is what? The woman is generally ruled by what? The moon indicates the woman. The moon is not on a cycle, so therefore it is ruled by its emotions. When your emotions or them impulses hit you, right? By the time they hit you, hey man, it's kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of too late. It's something that you have to persistently keep meditating on in order for you to reach that point where it's like that impulse hits you and it's like, nope, not moving, right? That's when you start garnering an aperture of defense of self-control in terms of psychologically. Her bosom is like winter, her crown of Medusa, her words like sharp fangs dance around the serenade of her lipstick, the slight smear on her cheek, right? This is that psychological switch that I was talking about. She's seasoned. She knows exactly what the hell she's doing. She knows how to control her impulses. You see what I'm saying? That's what you don't. She knows how to because it's a business for her. But for you, you don't know how to do that. You're not the shark in the water. You're the minnow. She's going to devour you whole. Who is she? She is also your emotions. And your emotions, no matter how warm they feel or how angry you feel, is it not cold like a shark? When that gland rolls over their eyes and then it bites you and you feel that impulse. When somebody disrespects you, not to hit them in their chin, it's in the perfect place. Right? You have to catch yourself before you do that. Right? Sometimes you're so angry a tear might pop out your eye. You have to catch yourself. Why do I keep hitting on law enforcement with these examples? Because it's an example that we can all see. Everybody thinks that, okay, well, they got to get more training. Well, I mean, what if society got training? We never thought about things that way. We never thought about that way. You know what they got to put up with? They got to put up with the craziest shit all the fucking time. 3 days with a cop job, I'm going to work with a skillet in my hand. I'm going to be tired of everyone. I'm going to be tired of my own partner riding in that car. That's too much stress, man. They got to go through so much stuff. It really is crazy. It's the same thing on the streets. It's the same way on the streets, but I just don't talk about that. You see what I'm saying? There's many different professions where self-control has to be exercised. So when I talk about that woman, I'm talking about that woman not exactly in that dynamic. That dynamic of lust of the flesh can be hit on in the higher dynamic of if one is able to watch their impulses and their emotions, then they will garner more self-control, that their direction and their ways of life is girdled so that they don't miss their steps, so that their psychology does not come undone. There is a podcast that has Gilly the Kid and Wallow on it. And one thing I like that Wallow would ask a lot of times, it's called $1 million worth of game. Wallow would ask, how many seconds did it take? What Wallow is hitting at is how many seconds did it take for you to fuck up your life? You lived this long, and then it took you, 5 to 10 seconds to react to something, and now you're locked up for 5 to 10. That's very deep if you think about it. It don't take that much. It don't take that much. So, this is what I'm hitting at or this is how the verse hits me in terms of that. And that woman is evil. Why? Because she comes out of nowhere, right? She comes out of nowhere and she flatters you. She says something to you, a whisper in your mind as a thought to tear you off of the path that you're on. Right? That impulse hits you and then you gotta react and do something. If you're not thinking, you're gonna automatically, just like a robot or a shark, it's automatically gonna happen. You ever see those crocodiles, the alligators, when they snap down? I was watching a trainer and this alligator snapped down on this dude's arm. I think it's one of them Asian countries. And it snapped down on his arm. And that thing, it flipped, it did a aerial 360 and snatched his whole arm off. Now, as soon as them jaws lock, that's what they do. That's all. It's automatic. It's just like a robot. It's 1, 2, 3. It's like it's been trained and programmed, or punches in a dojo that's been done 1,000 times each session. The minute I grab somebody who's like a studied martial artist, for heaven's sake, let nightmares be, but Michael Jai White, you grab that dude's arm crazy, it's gonna be automatic. He's not gonna think about it, it's gonna be automatic. What he's gonna think about is, as soon as you do it, he may grab you back and then he's gonna think, stop, oh, this is somebody I know. It's programmed in there. It's not something, so we have to do the same thing so that we can be more conscientious of our surroundings, so that we can make better decisions and things of this nature. This is like an adulterous woman. Okay? Your emotions. All right? Now, from the flattery and tongue of the strange woman. What is she doing? She's giving you strange fruit. She's giving you strange advice. You know them thoughts, fellas. When you have your mind completely on something else, and then all of a sudden your thoughts freeze, and when you see something, it don't always have to be a woman. It could be something you find on the ground, for heaven's sakes. Nobody might know it's there. You might inch your foot over. Lord, forgive me. Help me. It happens. You might find something sweet. You might find something stashed. You might come across some information. You might get a little bit of leverage. You could do it. This person's been getting on your nerves. You could do it. Right? But that control. How do your thoughts react to your emotions? Where did those thoughts come from? Are you aware of the thoughts that you have? Okay? Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. All right? So, lust not after her beauty in your heart, in thine heart. You ever have them negative thoughts? Boy, I could do this, I could do that. That's you lusting. You lusting after it. That's where you need to garner that self-control. You got to reel it back in. You got to bring it back. Jesus Christ was a fisher of men, right? You got to do the same thing within your own self. You got to fish those emotions and impulses, and you can't entertain them. You can't. You have to reel it back in. I could do this, I could do that. Right? That's something for you to think about. Also, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. Meaning, don't let her entice you. Don't let her entice you. What do they say about vampires? They got that hypnosis, that hypnotic look. Put you in a trance as soon as you see it. Huh? You get that impulse, right? You see how you could take all this and take it to the physical of where it's at? But I'm bringing it so that anybody from where they come at could understand it from the higher principle dynamic, so they could garner their self-control and conduct themselves better. Don't get hypnotized. What's that song? Biggie, 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 can't you see? Sometimes, what is it? Sometimes your words just hypnotize me. The words. Somebody tell you something. Somebody tell you something seducing. You gotta buy a used car. Boy, he could persuade you, can't you? You might be buying a lemon. He could put you right in one. Sounds kind of nice. Sounds kind of nice. What is it? If I try to sell you a car and I tell you the truth, you like, yeah, man, I seen that car. And I'll be like, well, my car, I took a picture of it on its good side. You're like, okay, that's cool, brother. Now, what's wrong with it? Well, the headlights don't work. You like, well, hold on, man. Well, I could get some headlights. I say, no, that's not it. That's not it. The trunk won't close. I got rear-ended real bad. You say, now, wait a minute. Now, hang on. That wasn't in the picture. I had to take a picture of that side. I did. You scratching your head, you say, well, it's for my kid. It's my kid's first car. Maybe I could buy that car. And I say, no, that's not it. You like, why? What is? The passenger door is kind of duct tape on because I opened it kind of a certain type of way one time. You're like, what? What part of the car work? That's not it. All the check warning lights are on when you start the car up. They don't turn off. You like, hold on now, wait a minute. Now wait. I'm telling you the truth about that car. You go to the store, you see the organic fruit, it's not as good as the one that looks like it's GMO. It's like 3 times bigger and it's got like that shine to it, right? You may see a car, that car salesman, he's selling you a car, it looks beautiful. But at least my car will get down the street. That car, it won't get down the street as soon as you drive it off that lot. And there's no refund. Do not be enticed. What does it say? Do not get, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. What is it? And the fruit look good to make one wise. The used car salesman or my car that's got all these problems. But I'm really honest, I'm telling you the truth. Yeah, it's got all these problems. But hey man, I'm not trying to screw you over. That's why I'm telling you. I'm telling you because I care. That is the thing. So would you say that used car salesman sell you in that car that looks good? Would you say that that's enticing? And would you say that it puts you in a trance? Does it affect the way that you think in terms of the car? Is it flattering to look at? Are you flattered by that car? Do you see yourself driving in that car, but my car doesn't look as good? Right? And is it not evil that car be sold to you? And imagine the words that hypnotize you, like that Biggie song. Right? Is that adulterous in a way? Is he selling you adulterous words? Is he doing business with you fairly and squarely? Not exactly. He's doing business, and it's not against the law to do business that way. Right? Not exactly. There are limitations. There's fraud suits also. But that is their job as a salesman, to sell you the vehicle. Right? So it's just something to think about. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. All right? For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. Okay? So, a man is brought to a piece of bread, for by the means of the whorish woman. What does this mean? She's gathered him in his weakness, no different than a spider has gathered its prey in its net. It's just the same. Can we use the same dynamic as a car salesman? Can we use the same dynamic more finite or more spiritually in terms of our emotions? How we feel. Somebody says something that triggers us, says us all, "Ooh, I'm hot right now." Right? That too. Somebody call you a name. Are we the same age as we were in grade school? Did we not develop any type of resilience since then? You gonna put someone through a window? Right? Soon as that trigger, is it automatic? Are you you know what I'm saying? Is somebody going to see God the minute? Ooh, I'm hot. Right? You know what I'm saying? Brothers, I'm talking to you in these streets. Right? These different gangs. It's on sight, homie. The minute I see you. The Wild Wild West. You got that 6-shooter on the side. 1000%. How many seconds does it take you? That's what Wale would ask. He don't want to see you go through there. He had to spend some time there. It wasn't nice. It wasn't pleasant. He's keeping it 100. It's real concentrated when you get into the system. It's real concentrated in there. Them real streets. So that's something to think about. That's something to also think about. Now, a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread. And this is also in this situation, the scenario which I use. This man is brought to, he turns to stone with her crown of Medusa. The words she says and the flattery that she says. He never seen this woman before. She kind of gets into his heart, right? Right? It's like a safe. It's like breaking into a bank. She gets into his heart. What happens? Money comes out. Money comes out of his heart. She got different intentions. We don't know what she was there for. Right? Impulses and emotions. Circumstances and situations, the ways of life. You see how that principally can fit into all. The adulterous woman is a spiritual figure, if you understand what I'm saying. She's spiritual. These are her attributes of character. She'll put you in a trance. Her bosom is of winter. She got a cold heart. Right? She has a crown of Medusa. She'll turn you into stone. That's putting you in a trance. Winter and Medusa, that's putting you in a trance. She speaks flattering words to you to persuade you to do something that you shouldn't do. Right? These are the attributes of that spirit. If you understand their spirits or spiritual things, these are the attributes of her character. All right? And the adulteress will hunt for the precious life. Oh, I'm hot right now. I gotta pull my pistol. As soon as you pull it out, you might get struck 2 in the chest. Right? Everybody watch, what is it? Now, I don't know if it was Sopranos. My mom always told me she had to be careful. I had to watch myself. I was like, Sonny. Sonny had a temper. Right? They had to set him up. Dude was wild. It's something you got to think about. You got to control yourself. You got to do things before they happen. That comes with self-control and controlling the way that you think, those impulses and those emotions. Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? We know that that's not possible, right? To throw yourself atop a fire and not be burned is not possible. Meaning, yeah, stolen water looks sweet. It looks sweet. We all seen the movie. Hey, I know you've been out of the game for this long. We just need you to do one last job. Right? Of course it's the last job. It's a kamikaze mission. This should be hella fucked up. It's enticing. It's the biggest score you ever seen. It puts you to stone when you think about that score. You just gotta do it. You're licking your lips. You're like, if I do this, I could be set for life. Or you saying too much. You might know it better than they do. Right? Can one go up upon hot coals and his feet not be burned? We know that ain't possible. It ain't possible. Let me leave that alone because never mind. Okay. So he that goeth into his neighbor wife whatsoever toucheth her shall not be innocent. This is just plain. I can't bring it to the higher principle there. That's just talking about adultery. Like I said, when it happens, a man's blood pressure raises as if he had 4 large cups of coffee. Right? And they'll get to explaining that at the end of this. He wants to go kill something immediately. Men do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore 7-fold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso committeth adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. That means soon as people figure out that you a cat burglar, everybody's gonna stay away from you. That's what's gonna happen, because it's like, hey, I can't really be around you, right? You're gonna ruin my situation that I got going on in life. All right, for jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. Meaning, some dude figure out that, you know what I'm saying, you took something. It right here is the connotation we're talking about. Plain adultery, somebody's physical adultery, somebody's wife. He's gonna want vengeance. There's no making that correct with that individual. Or if you take something that intimately belongs to somebody, such as like an heirloom or something like that, that individual, certain things, there's no price for, right? And for them top-ranking people, money is not the substance that they're looking to achieve. They're going for something far deeper than that. So you got to be careful with those impulses and things of this nature. All right. So I'm going to drop down here. 7. Proverbs 7. Behold, there met him a woman with an attire of a harlot and a subtle of heart. Meaning she was easygoing. All right. She is loud and stubborn. Her feet abide not in her house. She's always on the move. She's a busybody. Another thing people need to understand, secrets and pillow talk, they do not go together. All right? So she caught him and kissed him, and with an impudent face said unto him, I have peace offerings with me. This day have I paid my vows. Therefore came I forth to meet thee diligently, to seek thy face, and I have found thee. So these are her flattering words. You know what I'm saying? I got a little extra. I got something, you know what I'm saying? I got something to drink going on. I got a little bit of this. I got a little bit of that. Right? This is that flattery. You know what I'm saying? Let's kick it. You know what I'm saying? I have decked my bed with coverings of tapestry. This is giving images of certain environments. Carved works and 5 linen of Egypt. You know? That's that top dollar situation. You understand what I'm saying? Perfume and incense is going into. All of these things are connotations of the appetites and the senses. Remember in Genesis, he told the serpent, upon your belly you shall go. And that means he is led according to his gut or his appetites. That makes him fit for any hunter or tactician. If somebody goes by their appetites, then I can understand in detail how they're going to move. How does a detective track an individual? How does the FBI or CIA do it? People have appetites. They have addictions. They have things that they go for. They have needs. They got things that they're lured out with. That's how it works. It really does. It works like that, right? So listen, I went and broke down to the higher principles what this meant, and it does factor down into the physical element. It's just that speaking in terms of the physical element in that dimension of this scripture, it speaks of far greater things, and that is why I broke it down to the impulses and emotions of an individual. What am I doing? To keep people safe, I'm speaking in the higher dynamic that they understand how it fits down into the lower. That is why. So I say this with peace and blessings, and I'll close out with just this poem one last time. Her bosom is like winter, her crown of Medusa. Her words like sharp fangs dance around the serenade of her lipstick. Slight smear on her cheek, the crackle of the light flashes at dusk to reflect of the humid Victorian wallpaper. 2 crumpled bills that read, "In God We Trust." The cephalopod of the outer darkness, the John, the trick, the syndicate, the mystery of the night that went, fleeting like 2 sheets in the wind. Seldom seen her fingerprints, obscured her perfume with patchouli ambiance, the gloom of wages of another lonely soul. To this day, no one has ever seen her since, the candle dimmed over cold case evidence. All right? Peace and blessings be with you all. I'm out.